So all the beautiful names belong to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and call Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala by those beautiful names. And in one hadith, Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam says, "Inna lillahi inna lillahi tis'atan wa tis'ina isma." Allah has 99 names. Man ahsaha dakhala al-jannah. Whoever commits these names to memory will enter into heaven. One of these 99 names, or one of these beautiful names of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, is called Al-Ismul A'zam, or Ismullah Al-A'zam, the great holy name of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And what distinguishes this name from the rest of the holy names of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is that Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, Ismullah al-A'zam alladhi idha du'iya bihi ajab wa idha su'ila bihi a'ta. When someone calls onto Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala by this name, the great holy name, then Allah answers that person, answers the prayers of that person, and whatever is asked for is given to that person. So whatever you ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for with that name, He will give it to you. Now what is that Ismul A'zam? What is that great name of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? That's an important question to be asked. Do I know it? Maybe. Did Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam know it? Definitely. In one hadith, Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said that it is in Quran. There are 3 chapters in Quran: Al-Baqarah, Ali Imran, and Taha. These are 3 chapters in which Allah's great name is mentioned, Al-Ismul A'zam. So now, the question is, if it is so powerful, if it is such a special name of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, that if He's invoked by this name, He immediately attends to that person, and He answers to that person, and He grants what is asked for. So why don't we know it? Or if we know it, why don't we use it? Or if we use it, why doesn't anything happen? So many questions. First of all, there is one story of a sheikh. He was approached by a beggar. A beggar came to him and he said, I've been suffering for a long time. And this sheikh was known to have possessed the great name of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. He had the knowledge of that, Al-Ismul A'zam. So he went to that sheikh and he requested very humbly, please enlighten me and teach me that great name of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Teach me Al-Ismul A'zam. So the sheikh said to him, do you qualify to know and possess that name of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? And he said, what qualification do I need? I want to know so I can use it to my benefit. So the sheikh said, okay, let me ask you to do something. If you do that successfully, then I will teach you that great name of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. He said, go to the gate of the city, the main entrance of the city, and spend the whole day over there. And then whatever you observe over there, come back and report it to me, and then I'll teach you the great name of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So he went over there next day, and he waited at the entrance of that door for most of the day. Then finally he saw an old man who was carrying some wood on the back of his donkey, and he was bringing it into the city so he could sell that wood and make some money to buy food and feed himself and feed his family. So as he entered through that gate, he was stopped by the police officer. The police officer became very rude to that old man, that poor old man, and he took all the wood from his donkey and took possession of that and then kicked him out and sent him back. So this person, he observed all of that, and became very sad on seeing this, but he couldn't do anything. He couldn't fight with the police officer. He couldn't fight with the force of the police. So he went back to the sheikh and he told him that this is what I saw. I saw there was an old man who was bringing wood into the city, perhaps to sell that wood to make some money and buy food for himself. And he was very old, very weak. And the police officer stopped him. He took all his wood illegally, unlawfully, and then he kicked him and sent him away. So he said, how did you feel? He said, I felt very sad. I felt really bad for that poor old man, and I really wanted to help him. So he said, what would you have done if you had known that Ismul A'zam? What would you have done? He said, I would have immediately prayed against that police officer, asked Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to destroy that police officer and kill him on the spot. So the sheikh said, the person you're talking about is my sheikh. He taught me Al-Ismul A'zam. Now you understand why you don't qualify to have the knowledge of Al-Ismul A'zam? That sheikh has that knowledge. And he still didn't pray against that police officer, because you need to have hilm, you need to have rahmah, you need to have a lot of things in order to qualify to have that knowledge. If everybody has that, then why did Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam have to go to so many wars? Why did he have to go to Badr? Why did he have to fight with the kuffar? Why did he have to fight with kuffar in Uhud? Why did he have to fight with kuffar in Ahzab? Why did he have to do all those things? If he simply invoked Allah by that name and say, Ya Allah, we're going to sit in Medina, let the kuffar die. He didn't do that, because you cannot override the plan of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. If Allah begins to give that power to people who are not qualified, then they will try to overturn the will of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, which is not possible. So he told that person, now you understand, you don't qualify. So go back and keep working. وآخر دعوانا أن الحمد لله رب العالمين.
Does the name change from time to time? Ismail, is the same name?
It's the same name. It doesn't change.
Suppose you say all the 199 names.